Hey, Mike.
Hi, Heather.
Oh my God, what are you wearing?
Let me
Yes.
tell you.
So, if anyone, yes, yes. Wait, we need a full screen on this. That is so beautiful. I
Yes,
love
so
it.
Heather gave this to me, and I guess I promised that I would wear it on the show. So I am a man of my word. So here I am.
So, if anyone who is watching, they don't know what we're talking about, one of our previous live streams, we brought up onesies, and Mike had said that he didn't know what a onesie was, never owned a onesie. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm buying you a onesie for your birthday. And he's like, okay, if you buy me a onesie for my birthday, I'll wear it on the show. This is it.
Here I
This is
am wearing a
it.
onesie, and
Yes.
this is supposed to be Yoda.
Yes. And that's because you're a Star Wars fan, right?
I, I don't proclaim to be a big Star Wars fan, to be perfectly honest
Oh,
with you. I liked the original nine movies,
uh-huh.
especially the first three and the ninth one, but in the order that they came out, not in chronological order.
Right.
But everything that's come out since, to be honest with you, I didn't watch or fell asleep through.
Oh, okay. Um, so real quick, out of the six original Star Wars movies, what one movie was your absolute favorite that you could watch over and over again? Real
My
quick.
favorite of all of them was the last one, where um, that shows how Anakin was that his name, Skywalker,
Uh-huh.
became Darth Vader.
Oh, so you're talking about number six. Okay.
No, well, that was ninth in the
Or
order they came out.
number three, right?
It was number three in chronological order and number
That's it.
nine in release order.
Okay, forgive me. I am a Star Trek person.
Okay, that's okay. But even that one, I wouldn't say I could watch it over and over again like I could say Rounders. Um, but
So is Rounders your ultimate favorite movie?
it certainly would be in the top 10. I really would hate to say an absolute favorite movie, but Rounders would be way, way at the top. Perhaps number one. Offhand, I can't think of anything better, but there are a lot of movies that I can just watch over and over again,
Awesome.
besides Rounders.
Very, very cool. Now, we have a special show for you guys today. We are doing trivia, we are doing questions, we are doing the Yoda onesie. I am so excited. This is just so special. I'm so just psyched. So, if you guys have your gambling questions, go ahead and put it in the chat and we will get to it in the order received. Sometimes we don't get to all of the questions. If that's the case, just ask the question again or try on our next live stream. But while you guys are putting those questions in there, uh, what's new with you? I heard you did a trip, a backpacking trip.
I actually did two since the last live stream. And let
Ooh,
me apologize to the audience. It has been a while since the last live stream, hasn't it?
yeah,
I don't think we did any in May. Oh, no, wait, we did
maybe.
one May 5th. So the
Yeah.
last one was a month and a half ago. So it's been a while. So I missed you, audience. Thank you for waiting. And I also want to say, Heather, you're looking good too. I
Oh, thank
especially
you.
like the necklace. It looks like a lithium atom.
Well, you are the one that got me this. I love this jewelry so much.
Um, yeah. So, yeah, since then, I did one backpacking trip
Hmm.
on Santa Cruz Island, which is one of the eight California Channel Islands. It's the largest island in California, and yes, it's bigger than Catalina. I can't say I walked it like the whole length of it, but because something like 75% of the island is private land, but I did walk from one point to the other over 3 days, that the public is allowed on. But the bigger trip I just got back from on Monday, and that was hiking across the Sierra Nevada mountains in California from the west to the east side. This was
Holy
a
cow.
6 day, 72-mile trip that included the highest mountain in the lower 48 states, Mount Whitney, and that was a really nice trip. The weather was nice. It was a good group. And no significant injuries or anything like that. And everybody enjoyed it. And it was a thing I could probably cross off my bucket list, but it just makes me hungry to at least do the Sierra Nevada section of the Pacific Crest Trail. And this is because right now, mid to late June is when all the PCT hikers are blowing through the Southern Sierras. So I only did 3.4 miles in common with them, but I passed by lots of them, and they're really cool people, and they really got me excited to do that myself. So hopefully I'll get the opportunity before I get too old.
I could see you doing that next summer.
Yeah, you know, I have a certain retirement goal in terms of money, and I'm getting kind of close to that. But right now it's looking like 2025 around there. But we'll see how it goes, both in terms of my income and my investments.
Cool.
Okay, enough about me. So the topic of today's trivia will be African American trivia. Why, you might ask? It's in celebration of Juneteenth, our latest national holiday. And if you read my last newsletter, I'm going to ask you to recuse yourself from playing. Okay?
Sounds good. So we'll ask the first trivia question. And while we are doing that, go ahead and put your question in the chat, your gambling question in the chat. And then we will go and answer that after we ask the trivia question.
Okay, so question number 1 is a 3-part question. So who is famous for refusing to who is famous for refusing to move to the colored section at the back of the bus? In what year did this happen, and in what city? I'm sure you guys know the who, but who can get the year and the city?
Okay, so we are looking for person, place, and time. Person,
Yep.
place, and time.
Yep.
Sounds
and
good.
While the peanut gallery is working on that, and as usual, no Googling allowed, hit me with a good gambling question, Heather.
So our first gambling question comes from Technics, and he asks, if dealt a 3 of a kind in video poker, what are the odds that you will get a 4 of a kind?
Well, let's work that out. So there's one way to get the missing card, and there will be you'll have 2 junk cards already. So there's 46 cards left that can go with that. Can be the kicker to the 4 of a kind. So we're looking at 46 ways to win, and the number of ways to be dealt 2 replacement cards out of 47 is 1,081. So 6 divided by 1,081 is 0.0056, or about 0.5%. So we can look at the inverse, and the chances are about 1 in 180.
Sounds
There
good.
you go. And by the way, I just love the HP 15C.
Let's see that again.
A better calculator made.
Let's see that again.
I think I managed to show this in
There we go.
almost every live stream. By the way, anyone who uses the HP 15C is immediately my friend.
Okay, so if you guys want Mike as a friend, you know what you have to do.
There are other ways to become my friend, but this is certainly a fast way.
Very, very nice. Shall we go to another gambling question, since we are still waiting for people to reply to the trivia question?
Okay.
Okay. So our next question comes from PJ Strong. Can a player gain an advantage in craps with the use of a loss rebate?
Sure. The player can gain an advantage in anything with a loss rebate, assuming the conditions on the loss rebate are very liberal. For example, the one at the old Terribles by the airport, you just had to lose. There were no other conditions. You had to lose at least $500. And as long as you play, aggressively, like trying to win a winning goal really quick or lose trying, then yeah, absolutely. For example, if I was awarded a lost rebate in craps, I might try to multiply by money. Really, I might try to do a 3-step parlay, or lose trying, and that would certainly have an advantage, even under a small rebate like 10%. So yeah, absolutely. I love lost rebates. It's a great advantage play.
How often do you see lost rebates in casinos?
Almost never. I mean, at the high level, um, here in Vegas, players could probably get them at any big strip casino, and you have to negotiate the details. But low-level players almost never see them, unfortunately.
Okay. We still don't have an answer to the trivia question. So,
Guys, come on! You got to know the who. Who was told to move to the back of the bus and he or she refused to go? Now, in all honesty, this probably happened many times, but one person in particular is famous for going to jail for it because she refused to get out of her seat.
so I guess we're giving out partial credit then, right? If you don't
Yes,
get
I
all three.
just see PJ Strong correctly said Rosa Parks. Assuming that was the first correct answer, then congratulations, PJ. I'm going to have to assume nobody knows the year or the place unless I get it really quickly. Yes, okay. Maybe there is a really big delay because suddenly everybody is saying Rosa Parks, which would indicate we have like a 1-minute delay with the texts.
I think people thought that we had to do all three answers, otherwise they couldn't answer. I think that's what it was.
Okay.
Because as
Well,
soon as
so to answer my own question, the year or the exact date was December 1st, 1955, and the place was Montgomery, Alabama.
okay, good to know.
Yep. And that said, let's go on to question number 2.
Okay.
Question number 2 is, which black candidate for president in 1984 and 1988 won millions of votes in the Democratic primary?
Okay, so if you guys know the answer to that, put that in the comments. And while we are waiting, we have a part B from a question you already answered. The question was, if dealt a 3 of a kind in video poker, what are the odds you would get a 4 of a kind, which you answered? The second question is, probabilistically speaking, how many hands would you expect to have to play before you receive a royal flush?
In video poker, depending upon the exact pay table, assuming optimal strategy, you get a royal flush about once every 40,000 to once every 45,000 hands.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, should we do another gambling question?
Yep, next question. Some of them are easy.
Okay. In face-up Pai-Gow poker, is a triple harder to obtain than a straight, statistically?
Do you think that David means a 3 of a kind?
Yeah, I think he means a 3 of a kind.
Well, let's see if my website says that. Off the top of my head, I don't know. So I'm going to go to share my screen. Share screen. And let's share this one.
Okay, and we are adding it to the stream. And there you go.
There you go. So let's switch to Wizard of Odds. Let's go to games and then click F and face up Pai-Gow poker. And now let's look at the side bets. For this question, we can just go to regular Pai-Gow poker. So let's look at something like the fortune bet. Here's probabilities in Pai-Gow poker. Okay, so here we see the probability of a straight is about 7.3%, and a three of a kind is 4.8%. So yes, indeed, a three of a kind is more likely. And you may be surprised to hear that, but it's because the joker can be used to complete a straight in Pai Gow poker, but it can only help a three of a kind if the three of a kind is in aces.
Okay. Good to know.
Okay, so who knew the black candidate for president in 84 and 88?
Was it Jesse Jackson?
It was Jesse. Go, Jesse, go.
Woohoo! Very
And
nice.
Jack Ace gets a point for that. Good job.
Yay!
Okay. Question number 3 is, who said, "The only thing I like integrated is my coffee"?
Okay, so if you guys know the answer, put it in the chat. And we are going on to our next gambling question. And as we are doing that, I just want to say, hi, Jack Ace. I know you. Okay, I got all excited. Okay, so Anne says, Mike, when playing video poker, a pay table where the royal flush is progressive, wouldn't it make sense to take the other players into consideration when calculating the house edge?
I don't understand why it would matter. Now, one situation where it might matter is that if it's on a bank of machines, you might think maybe another player is going to hit that progressive before me. And as long as the progressive is positive, you should play it. I mean, as long as the EV of the game is positive, you should play it, even though another player might hit it before you, because a positive bet is a positive bet. And I can't think of anything else to say about that. Now, maybe I'm not allowed to say that, so I won't go on. But I get sworn to secrecy about some things. But yeah, there's my answer there, Anne. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Anne, also a person we know.
Yep.
I get all excited when I see people we know. It's like I feel like I'm seeing celebrities. I'm so weird.
Okay, so who was did anyone submit an answer to the person who said, "The only thing I like integrated is my coffee"? I see the right answer.
Was it Walter?
No, it was not Walter Mondale, and I think that was an incorrect answer to the previous question. No, PJ Strong is correct. The correct answer is Malcolm X.
Woo! Very nice.
Yep.
Yay!
Good job, PJ.
Awesome.
Question number 4. What is considered, and this is not my wording, the Negro national anthem?
Oh, okay. If you guys know the answer to that, put that in the chat.
Yep, and I apologize. There's a leaf blower going outside my office. I hope you guys can't hear that. I hate leaf blowers.
No worries. We can't hear that.
Good.
Or at least I can't hear it over the sound of traffic outside my window.
All right. Hit me with another gambling question, Heather.
Next up is, have you seen, and I don't know if this is real or fake, have you seen slot vultures compete against each other? I don't know if this is like in real life or if this is like a TV thing or a YouTube thing.
I'm not sure what he or she means by compete, but I have sat there like reading rule screens to vulturable games, and I see players come along all the time checking the similar games. So slot vultures are becoming ubiquitous. There is a surfeit of them in every Vegas casino, and if by compete, I could see two vultures like approaching the game at the same time, and especially if it's in an obvious state and getting into a conflict, who should be allowed to play it. And it's also been known to happen where vultures badgered legitimate players to get off of a good machine. Um, so that's all I can say without really understanding what is meant by compete. And maybe you could clarify the question a little bit. By the way, speaking of vulture roll slot machines, I'm in the process right now of writing something on Hexbreaker 3. And look for discussion about that right after this show at Wizard of Vegas.
Nice. I'm excited. Awesome. Okay. So maybe we should have a new reality TV show where it's titled Slot Vultures. What do you think?
To be honest, I think it would be kind of boring. It would just be a bunch of men pressing buttons.
I don't know. I've seen people in a casino before. That's not boring. Some of it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's possible. And before you saw all these poker tournaments televised, somebody predicted to me that it would become a hot thing on cable TV. And I said, nah, who wants to watch a bunch of men in baseball caps playing cards?
Yeah.
But I was wrong there. And, when I'm wrong, I'll admit it. I'm not always right.
Okay. I don't see any answers to the trivia question. Do you see anything? I don't see anything. Should we go on to the next question?
I don't either. Guys, last chance. What is the Negro national anthem?
So our next question comes from Mark. Hi, Mark. I've seen some casinos that offer Ultimate Texas Hold'em as a table game, but a similar game called Jackpot Hold 'em. How do these games differ in House Edge?
Let me see what Jackpot Hold 'em is. I know there's a copycat game called, what is it called? I think it's called King's Bounty. Jackpot Hold 'em.
I think there's a few copycat games.
No, I was wrong. Jackpot Hold 'em is the copycat game, and King's Bounty is a side bet that I think is on that game. So, so Jackpot Hold 'em plays like Ultimate Texas Hold 'em, except on the big raise you can only go up to 3 times the ante, but there are bad beat jackpots if you get a very high hand that loses. So overall, the house advantage is about the same in both games, about 2.4% as measured by the ratio of expected loss to the ante. But if you measure the expected loss by everything you bet, including the blind and the raises, then it comes down to about 0.5%. So they're both outstanding values. And I have nothing against Jackpot Hold 'em, mind you, as somebody who helps people create games. I kind of don't like copycat games, but that's just the order of the day these days. So, yep, that's about as far as I can take that one.
Okay, sounds good. Okay.
And I see the correct answer to my question.
Oh, good.
So that is indeed Lift Every Voice and Sing. So, Dennis Mendel, congratulations, you get a point.
Yes. Woohoo.
Yep. All right. The next question is, what is the name of the slave that Thomas Jefferson owned, who he fathered at least 4 children with?
Okay, so if you guys know the answer to that, put it in the chat. And while we are waiting for people to answer, our next gambling question comes from The Blind Beard. I like that name. How do you feel about doing a 4-way Exacta box bet in horse races? I meant betting on horse races.
I'm not big on betting horse racing in any way because the house cut is 17%, and then all of the way they round the wins cuts against the player. So I think that horse racing is a pretty bad value in terms of betting. The good thing is there's only a race like once every 15 minutes. So at least it's a slow way to lose your money. And, I will admit that between the ages of 18 and 21 in California, you could bet at the horse track, but not casino games. So I did sometimes enjoy like spending half a day at the racetrack and just making some small bets just for fun. But the takeout for Exacta bets is, by the way, for those who don't know, an Exacta is predicting the first and the second place horses in order. If you didn't need to get them in the right order, then it would be called a quinella. And what is a four-way Exacta box? I think what that means is that you pick four horses and you basically do a round robin of all the ways you could arrange them in two, which would be 12 ways. So at some racetracks, the takeout is even higher on exotic bets, and the Exacta is an exotic bet because it involves more than one horse. Sometimes the takeout there is like 25%. So I'm afraid I can't endorse Exacta bets at all, no matter how you do them or the reason for making them. So there you go.
Okay. Good answer. Good answer.
Thank you.
Now, do you see any answers to your trivia question? I see Sally.
Yep, it was indeed Sally Hemmings. Good job,
Ooh.
Mo the cat.
Hi, Mo.
Hi, Mo. Nice to see you again. Mo is a fountain of knowledge.
Yeah.
As proven from other shows.
And a regular.
Yep. I always appreciate my regulars.
Always.
Okay. Question number 6. What celebration of African American culture began in 1966?
Okay, so if you know the answer to that, put it in the chat. While we're waiting, our next question comes from Practical. Do casinos worry about specific bet selections that can bring a better average to your chances of winning and kick you out? Let's say on the game of craps or roulette.
Okay, well, first of all, unless there's some kind of, I would say cheating involved, I don't see any bet selection that's going to beat the house advantage. You would need to be up to something, some kind of advantage play or outright cheating to get an advantage play in craps or roulette. Now, it has been known to happen that a casino will throw out a single blackjack table with really good rules and deep penetration and use it as basically a counter trap. And they would just sit there and wait for counters to come along and play, and they would watch it like a hawk and then kick them out. And sometimes put their pictures in the, I think it's called the Oregon Surveillance Network database. That I've heard of happening. Not everything you hear is true, but certainly something I've heard. So that is about as far as I can take that one.
Yeah, and as a casino dealer who has dealt roulette and craps before, it's not like the casino goes up to you as a dealer and says, hey, if you see this, certain bet sequence or selection, tell us. They're just happy you're betting because they get the house edge no matter what.
Yep.
So.
Okay. I see the correct answer to my last question. Jack Ace is indeed right. It is Kwanzaa.
Yay! Sweet.
Yay, good job.
Very nice.
Yep. Okay. The next question is, who was the first African American to serve as a Supreme Court justice?
Okay, so if you guys know the answer to that, put it in the chat. Our next question is not a question, it's a statement. I'm just really psyched about it, so I have to show it. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that comment.
Yep. Indeed, that's a nice dress, Heather, as I think I said
Thank you.
before, and the whole outfit, the whole shebang.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay, back to gambling. The question is, when I play the dealer by myself in blackjack, I either seem to do really good or really bad. Is this to be expected?
No, I would just say that it's just coincidence and probably enforced by what's the term for it? Confirmation bias. So
Mm.
if you think this happens, you tend to remember the times where what happens um, substantiates what you think will happen, and you forget the times that it doesn't. But over the long run, you should see the same kind of results. The same kind of bell curve, whether you're playing by yourself or with other players.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong when I say this, but it's like statistical fluctuation. And if you want to see an example of this at home, take a penny, flip it 50 times, 100 times, and write down, heads or tails. And when you do that, you'll see streaks. You'll see tail streaks and you'll see head streaks. It's just the same way when you're gambling. You're going to have losing streaks or winning streaks. And like Mike said, confirmation bias, you see this as either doing really good or doing really bad.
Yeah, by the way, speaking of flipping coins,
Ooh,
I recently didn't ask the wizard question on this. Did you know that if you flip a coin in the air and catch it in your hand like that, there is a slightly better than 50% chance it lands on the same side that it started on?
okay, let's see this.
Okay, of course, one flip is not going to prove anything, but right now tails is on top, and I caught it, and tails is still on top. Of
Nice.
course, again, one flip doesn't prove anything. It's probably like a 50.1% thing at best. But I also make a mathematical argument why this is true. In a previous Ask the Wizard question, I was really kind of proud of my work on that one.
Awesome. And where could people find that if they want to see that?
So, well, let's share my screen again.
Okay, will do.
Okay, so let's go to my main page. And then you go to what's new. And so I just wrote Ask the Wizard number 368 today, but it's an older one that contained that question. So I'm going to put in 367. Here we go. The question is it true the flip of a fair coin is more likely to land face up, likely to land face up on the side that started face up? And here's my answer. And you can see, give a link here to this whole mathematical paper that I wrote, making a mathematical argument why that is true. There you go. So,
very nice.
Yep, good question.
Okay, so do we have an answer to the trivia?
Yes, I do see the correct answer. I see that Oregon guy correctly said Thurgood Marshall. So,
Ooh.
Mr. Oregon, if you were first, then congratulations, you get a point.
Sweet. Whew.
Yep. Okay. Next question is, who was the first African American entertainer to host a television show?
Oh, so if you guys know the answer to that, put it in the chat. And while we are waiting, we will go to your guys' chat. Again, not a question, but seriously appreciate all of the nice comments you guys are saying. Thank you very much. So our next question is from Billa. Do you guys play the stock market?
I have a lot of money in stocks. Most of my retirement money is in stocks, but it's not something that I actively play around with. It's mostly in IRAs and, and in other investment accounts. And so I try to pick good funds and then just close my eyes. Although right now it's been difficult because the market is down,
Yeah.
I think like 15% from its all-time high recently. Now, but however, one time I did um, buy a stock. There's a company called Vascular Biogenics with the ticker VBLT. And a friend of mine just insisted that they had the cure to cancer and to throw something in it. And I did. And then they came out with the results of their trial, and they did not have good results, and it fell by like 75%. So that was the last stock that I bought. So it goes to show you how smart I am.
Well, it really is a gamble.
Now, these biomedical stocks are very risky, and that's an illustrated example how. I mean, they might spend years and all their energy developing one drug, and if their trials don't go well, it can increase their stock value by many multiples or decrease it.
Yeah.
But it was not a real significant percentage of my wealth, so I can take it. Don't cry for me.
Don't cry for me, Argentina. We are not a singing.
Those who have been immortal. Right.
We are not a singing live stream. We can't sing. That doesn't stop us.
To the audience too much.
Okay, so are we doing another gambling question, or are we doing a trivia answer?
So let's see. The last question I asked was, who was the first African American to host a TV show? And I see Oregon guy said Sammy Davis Jr., and that is incorrect.
Ooh.
It was before. I would say, I'm pretty sure this person predates Sammy Davis by a little bit.
I don't see their name. Oh, that's because nobody said it. That's
okay.
A good reason why.
Give the audience a little more time on that one. Meanwhile, Heather, hit me with another gambling question.
Sounds good. And again, we are starting with a statement before a question. Mike, I bought your gambling book, 102, and it is the only book I trust.
Thank you very much, Practical, for buying my book and the kind words. And by the way, the second printing of my book just sold out, so it is not available right now.
Wow.
But some good news is that I will be working on a third edition. The third edition is going to cover slot machines, especially slot machines that can have an advantage, like Hexbreaker, which I just mentioned earlier in the show. And I look forward to being the first person to, shall we say, write about that topic. Right now, most people would prefer that I shut my mouth if they already are doing that. But it's always been my priority to break new ground in writing about gambling and let copycats copy me. So yeah, that's going to be the main new thing in the third edition.
Oh, I can't wait. Looking forward to that.
Thanks.
Okay. And how can they, when you do have copies available, how can they go about buying your book if they want to buy your book?
Most people buy it through Amazon.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yep. And I see Don Zach had the correct answer. Nat King Cole was the first African American to host his own TV show.
Very cool.
Okay, next question.
Okay.
Who was the first African American to win an Academy Award?
So if you guys know the answer to that, put it in the chat.
Yep. And if you just know shall we say the movie, I'll give you half credit.
Oh, okay. And as we are waiting, our next question comes from the Blind Beard. What kind of bets would you recommend in horse racing?
Oh, I touched on that earlier. Just win, place, and show. Anything more exotic than that, I would leave alone because the house takeout is higher. I think in California, it's 17% on the win, place, and show and 25% on anything exotic. So Yeah, just the win, place, and show. Simple as that.
Very cool. Let's do another question. I knew a professor who would give assignments to flip a coin 100 times and then call everyone a liar. Oh my God, I love this. And then we call everyone a liar when they turn in their assignments because nobody had long streaks of heads or tails. I love this. I love this so much.
Yeah, that's true. Human beings are really bad at randomizing things in their head. And a good example of this is if you ask people to, um, shall we say, flip a coin 100 times mentally, they will alternate too often than statistically expected. In 100 flips, you should expect to see about 50 changes from heads to tails, but the average person will have a lot more than 50. And there's also other examples. Like if you ask someone to pick a number between 1 and 10, you almost never hear anyone say anything from 1 to 4.
Oh,
People
really?
like to go for the big numbers.
Huh.
Um, and also in football, there's a coin toss in every game, at least once, and heads is called a lot more than tails, and I believe that to be true in real life as well. Um, so, yeah, that's and I yeah, it's absolutely true that I think that if I asked one person to legitimately flip a coin 100 times and one person to make up 100 flips as randomly as they could mentally, I would be easily, it would be, I would have a very good chance of determining, looking at both submissions, which one was the honest 100 flips.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you,
and there's other things you can do, like something called Benford's law, which
oh,
is also a useful way of looking at numbers to detect if they're falsified. And it's a way that the IRS can spot income tax cheats.
really?
Yep.
I know what I'm Googling after this. Do you want to do another question?
Let's see. I see somebody said Sidney Poitier, and that is incorrect. Eddie Murphy is also incorrect. I don't think he ever won an Academy Award, as far as I know. Um, okay, Yes Notes is correct about the movie. The movie was Gone with the Wind, and the actress was Hayley McDaniel, who played the I don't remember the character's name, basically the servant.
Okay.
And nope, Denzel Washington is also wrong. But a math test. It's nice to see you. Thanks for joining.
Hi, math test.
Okay. Okay. Next question on African American trivia is, and there's only 3 more left. Here's an easy one. Who invented over 500 products made from peanuts and sweet potatoes?
Okay, so if you guys know, put that answer in the chat.
Yep.
Our next gambling question comes from Baccarat Funk. Love the name. Can you use a negative progression to beat the tie in Baccarat?
Nope.
Okay.
No betting system will not only beat a game, it won't even dent the house advantage.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Okay, next question. I know, Vince, you said this is for me, but I'm going to need Mike's help with this question. My wife, Sue, will be in Vegas on October 2nd for a week. Do you know any gambling at the downtown casinos? Or do you do any gambling? I'm sorry, do you do any gambling at the downtown casinos? I don't gamble. Yeah, so kind of crazy, huh? I like my money. I'd rather, do something fun with it.
Yep.
So, Mike, I need your answer with that. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm seldom seen gambling either. If I am gambling, it's probably playing Pai Gow tiles,
I love that.
which they do not have downtown anymore.
Oh,
But keep an eye out for me, Vince, and if you're coming with her, and say hello if you see me.
Yeah. When you do casino stuff for work, it's not exactly a fun leisurely thing to do because then you're
Yeah,
thinking about work and it's not, it's not fun. You're like,
yeah, I pretty much agree. Living here kind of takes the fun out of it.
yeah.
Not, and plus when you do it for a living too, it's, I mean, I like what I do, but if someone said, "Hey, Mike, let's go play blackjack," I would say, "Why?"
Yeah. You're like, can't we go hike instead?
Exactly, exactly. All right, let's get back to who created over 500 uses for sweet potatoes and peanuts, and that would be George Washington Carver.
Ooh.
So, congratulations to Jack Ace with the first correct answer, but yes notes, Blind Beard, and Don Zach also got some credit there.
Yep. Good job, you
Okay,
guys.
next one, number 11 out of 12.
Hmm.
I think this one's going to be easy. What was the name of the travel guide that identified um, businesses that were friendly to Black travelers back in the 50s, maybe 60s too?
So if you guys know, put that in the chat, and we are going to go on to our next question. Before we go on to the next question, I just want to add one more thing about the previous question we just added. When you're gambling downtown, if your wife wants to go downtown and gamble, I would recommend going to a place that she feels comfortable with. Each casino has their own vibe. So it really just depends on what she feels comfortable with and how she enjoys playing. Um, Again, this is for entertainment. So as long as she's having fun, go for it. So our next question is from Practical. Me and my fiance were entertaining the idea of playing slots just for fun without many expectations. Ooh, they say they would love a slot machine book, and that would be perfect. So he is looking forward to your new version of your book coming out.
Okay, thank you. I should warn you that it's just going to be one chapter, and it's going to be how to identify when just certain games only are in a positive state, which is not very often, probably about 1% of the time. So it's not the kind of thing that if you're just coming to Vegas one time, that you would probably that would be helpful to you. This is going to be something that's going to be more helpful to people that gamble a lot and are want to add another advantage play to their bag of tricks.
Okay. Our next question comes from Mateo. What are your thoughts on regular Texas Hold'em versus Omaha?
Live poker has always been one of the weakest areas for me when it comes to gambling. I've never played much Omaha. I know how, but I mean, it's easy to say what the difference in rules are. I won't get into that, but I really only like have a decent feeling for Texas Hold'em, so that's mostly what I play. Now, when I have a poker game here at my house, most of my friends are really good poker players that I hate to play against. So I like to call the goofy stuff like guts and screw your neighbor and stuff like that. I have studied these simple games and they haven't. So it's an opportunity for me to flip the tables on them. Of course, they always complain when I call these games, but yeah,
Oh, I
you should play what you're good at and your opponents are bad at.
I've been over at your house once or twice during a poker game, and they are fun. You throw a really good poker game.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so looks like we don't have any more questions.
Oh,
And so if you guys have any more questions, put it in the chat. Get it now. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
okay.
And
I will say you're not required to ask gambling questions. It can be
oh,
about anything. Um, I do see the correct answer to my previous question. It is the Green Book. So
yay.
congratulations to JR709 and Ann Larson. Um, and here is my last question on African American trivia. Which was the first state to ban slavery?
So if you guys know, put that answer in the chat. And now we're going to go to last couple questions for the day. I bought a Hooters craps table to test the theory of dice control, and I no longer believe in it. I'm looking to sell it. How can I tell if this craps table layout is real?
Um, well, you said that you bought it at Hooters, so I would assume it's a real craps table.
It
Um,
should have the Hooters logo on it.
how can I if you're asking how to sell it, why don't you? I think that if you posted that you have a craps table for sale in my forum at Wizard of Vegas, I think you would find people interested in it. The difficult thing with craps tables is they're so big, and it would be difficult to relocate it from wherever you're from for a lot of people. But somebody else sold one through my website, the same table where we made some videos, Heather, and there was a lot of interest in the table. It's kind of difficult to get a full size craps table.
Yeah.
If and by the way, if you have any chips, I might be interested in just those. But yeah, that's about the best I can do with that one.
Another thing to think about too is check or call the Gamblers General Store and call Spinetti's and see if they might buy it off of you.
Yeah. If you want to buy a table, by the way, oh, what's the name of that place? I think you're familiar with it, Heather. There's a guy that has a warehouse that's kind of by the Rio.
Oh, Casino Supplies and Services, CSS. John?
Yeah, I think his name is John. John.
Dis.
Go
Oh
ahead.
God, I'm going to screw up his name. It starts with a D.
Stefano?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So this guy has a big old warehouse kind of by the Rio, and he buys gambling stuff in both large quantities and just miscellaneous tables and I think that is a great place to go to buy used gaming tables.
Yeah, it is.
And I
Or
bet you would get a better deal than you would at the Gambler's Warehouse or Spinetti's. Not that I have anything against those two businesses, but John, is
he's fantastic.
yeah, he's a great guy. One time I bought like 1,000 decks of poker cards from him, and I'm still trying to get rid of them. Um, but yeah, that's where I would go first to buy a table.
Yeah, I agree. And same thing that Mike said. My company's worked with his company several times, and he's just a joy. He's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yep. Interesting character. Okay. Did anyone come up with the first state to ban slavery? I'm not seeing it.
I don't see it either. So should we give him a couple more minutes?
Let's give him a couple more minutes. And guys, here's your chance. We have 7 minutes left. Surprise me. Truly ask me anything. It doesn't need to be about gambling.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so here's one that's not about gambling. What is your favorite way to celebrate the 4th of July?
I'll admit that I am not that big on the fireworks.
Really?
It's not that I dislike them, but there's always a traffic nightmare after the show. And I used to work at Disneyland where there was a fireworks show every night. And I got a little bit bored with it from that. I love a good 4th of July barbecue, but it's not like I, have one every year. Here where I live in Summerlin, there's a parade that, I usually go to. Sometimes one or more of my kids are in the parade for one reason or another through their sports or band. And Now, when I lived in Maryland, Catonsville, Maryland had a great 4th of July parade. And that I was proud to go to every year. By comparison, the Summerlin one is kind of boring. And there's always like a long gap between floats or bands or whatever. But
Now, Summerlin, don't they have a fireworks show every year where one of the parks in Summerlin like sets off fireworks? It's pretty close to your house, actually, I think.
are you talking about the Trails Park?
The one with the schools next
Oh,
to
that's
the
called the
school.
Hills Park. I'm not aware of a public firework display because so many of the casinos do them. Usually, I will watch the one out of the Red Rock if I do go.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, I agree with you. I saw the fireworks one year at Caesar's Palace, and it literally took me like 2 or 3 hours to get out of that parking lot afterwards. It was such a nightmare.
mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, next question.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Lots of people ended up giving answers. Awesome. Okay, so we'll get to the answers here in 1 second. Blindbeard says, can you make a guide for throwing a good poker game at your home? I would love to do the same with some buddies. How many buddies should I have there?
Yeah. I wouldn't be the perfect person to write such a book because I don't host poker games that often because, to be honest, I pretty much can only do it when Mrs. Wizard isn't home. Um, but I think about 6 to 8 people is a good number, and have lots of drinks and food, and and try to have a mix of men and women if possible. In my case, it's always all men. Um, and don't take it too seriously. I like to have the stakes something where it means something, but yet it's still fun. Like maybe most people win or lose like $100. I think that's a good number. So yeah, that's kind of my quick advice there. Um, yeah, so getting back to the first state to ban slavery, that would be Vermont. So good job, JR709.
Woo,
And
sweet.
let me show you some of my pictures. Let's share the screen again.
Okay.
Okay. Let me move this over. Okay. So here I am with the statue of Rosa Parks. Let me see how to zoom in here. I think I click view, zoom, and let's go up to 200%. So here I am with good old Rosa Parks. This was in downtown, what's that city in Western Michigan? Grand Rapids. And here is Jesse Jackson. I saw him give a speech when I was in college, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Here's Brother Malcolm. Here's Nat King Cole. Here is Hattie McDaniel from Gone with the Wind. And that is it. You can take me off share screen.
Okay.
Okay, well, does the audience have any final good comments or questions?
We do. We have two. Actually, no, we have one. That was a mistake. Okay, so our last question is for the day, for the whole day. What did you do at Disneyland?
So at Disneyland, I was a sweeper. And this was in the summer of 1985. And I was that guy who went around with a pan and a broom sweeping up trash. That was my main job. It entailed doing other things too. And on some days, I emptied the trash cans. And that was not an easy task on a hot day, on a hot weekend day at Disneyland, because those trash cans filled fast. And part of my territory was the Matterhorn, and they would not let you on the ride with a drink. And so everyone was dumping their drinks in the same trash can. And that trash can got heavy and it filled up fast. And you had to be on your game to keep up with it. Same with the storybook ride. They just had a little bullet can at the end of that line, and that could fill up in half an hour. And so I was just going, back and forth, keeping up with these. And to make matters worse, in every other land in Disneyland, they had what was called a trash packer, where you just basically easily dumped the trash into it and pressed a button, and it compacted everything. But for some reason in Fantasyland, a company that made millions of dollars every single day would not spring for a trash packer in Fantasyland. So we had to lift these trash can liners over like this 6-foot big metal container, almost like a train box car. So that was, not only was that a job where you had to move fast but you had to also lift these basically trash can liners full of, amount of liquid that could hydrate a small country. But nevertheless, on the slow days, it could be fun. You got to chat with the guests and flirt with the popcorn vendors. That's where I met my first girlfriend, by the way. She was a popcorn
cool.
vendor.
I have to say though, did you ever flirt with any of the princesses?
Oh no, I wouldn't dare. I know my place, which was very low back then, and nerdy guys like me just did not reach that.
Did you ever see the Disneyland Cats?
I
heard there's a whole horde of Disneyland cats that are like living in Disneyland. Like that's where they live, and they're all stray cats, and there's like a whole bunch of them.
It's funny you mentioned that. I think that at night, after the guests left, there was what was called the skeleton crew, and they came in and really like polished everything and stuff like that. And sometimes I overlapped with the skeleton crew because the park closed at midnight, but I got off at 1. These were some strange guys, by the way, who worked the skeleton crew. But I think that they did let out cats, trained cats at night to catch mice.
Yep, to catch mice and rats.
Yeah. So, but during open hours, I never once saw a cat that I can recall.
That's really interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was kind of an interesting job. Good days and bad days, like any job. Yeah. Here's something interesting.
Ooh.
Is that was back in the 80s, Polaroids were still popular. Mm-hmm. And it happened all the time that people would take a Polaroid and they either didn't like it, so they threw it away, or they would like lay it on top of something for it to develop and then forget about it. Mm-hmm. So I collected these lost and discarded Polaroids, and I still have them to this day. Oh, and they show all kinds of things, like somebody walking in their shot, or it's blurry, or it just, or it just wasn't like an attractive picture.
That's interesting.
So I've thought about scanning them and putting them on my website. But
cool.
Maybe one of these days I will.
That's cool. That's nostalgia right there. I think a lot of people would like that.
Yep. Okay. Well, it's been an hour, so
when is the next time
showing up?
Oh yeah. When is the next time we're going to do this?
Let's see. And thank you, Heather, for producing the show.
Oh, always my pleasure. I have so much fun talking with you.
How about July 14th?
Sounds good. So we will see you guys July 14th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If we didn't get to your question today, please join us then and ask your question. Sometimes we don't get all of the questions, but we do really appreciate you guys joining us and asking them. And Mike, it was great seeing you again.
Great to see you, Heather. It's been a while. Nice to do this again. Yeah. And again, my apologies to the audience for the long delay since the last live stream, but this is kind of a busy time for me in terms of vacations and stuff like that.
Well, I'm looking forward to next time when I hear more about your adventures.
Thanks, Heather.
Have a good one.
Okay. Bye, audience.
Bye.